Hi, my name is Paul Slatkus. This is the Water Hour, show number 26. It's interesting when we name it. We don't name numbers. That means 26 hours of programming. We've focused on the good of water, the not so good of water, in the sense of what it can do for us and our sustenance of life, as well as our concern about those that aren't getting it. Water enough to sustain their lives, but all the different aspects of water. And today's show is really very exciting here at the Water Hour and at Good News Broadcast. Let's get right to it, because it's a lot of information that we're going to learn and some exciting opportunities overall in general. Bill Evans from WABC TV, actually a gentleman who I've admired for many years, is going to be with us. He's a do-gooder as well as a smart meteorologist. And then after Bill, and we're going to spend some time with Bill. Bill has a new book out there called Category 7. So we're going to talk something about his book as well as meteorological interest. Then we're going to have a piece. Actually, should have been the first piece for our outreach out in Spain at the Campus 07. But the gentleman who owns the hotel that the event is being held at, that actually is instrumental in organizing the Campus 07. Carlos Cebria, president of the Atlantis group, owns most of the hotels in Fuerteventura. He's speaking in Spanish. We have a translator there, Karen Blanchard, who's a Tenerife communications kind of person, and is very smart as well. And so that's my first interview over there, and so you get a perspective. And remember, we have, I think, like another 11 hours of interviews of Nobel Prize winners, the students that were spoken to about their work, as well as presidents of countries and dignitaries, secretaries of state. It's very interesting. We felt enough to share it with you on a weekly basis. So we'll show a piece of that. And then we have from Romania, sisters that are twins together, and great talent, and musical arrangers as well as singers, Mihaela and Gabriela Modorcea, and they're going to share some of their musical talent. So we're going to take off right now and go right to Mr. Bill Evans. Hello, Bill.
Hey, it's nice to see you. Thanks for having me on the show.
Bill, the last time I think I spoke with you was at a YAI charity event, and I know that because my daughter worked there, and for learning disabled. And Bill, I want to up front say, we cover a lot of benefits in New York City, and Bill Evans is at many of them, sharing himself. I know you're a family man too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And I believe you have twins?
I have twin girls that are 7. I have
Okay.
a daughter that's 12, and I have a son that's 11. So helping kids is a big part of the Evans family lifestyle, and it was always nice to help out what I call the Levy brothers at YAI.
Oh, right.
And so it's a great organization. Love helping them.
Yeah, they're a marvelous organization. And your abilities with meteorology, how did that come about? What made you get into that initially?
I had to live through a hurricane when I was 9 years of age.
Wow.
And it was one of the worst hurricanes to hit the U.S. mainland. It was Hurricane Camille in 1969. I was 9 years old. It was a Category 5 storm. It was actually a Category 7 storm out in the Gulf of Mexico. It was 189 mile per hour winds. It came on shore. It just destroyed our family farm. And I lived through that, and I was intrigued by meteorology after that. And I started studying the weather when I was 10, 11 years old. Wow. Started in radio when I was 13. Started broadcasting weather on television at 17. Went to meteorology school, and I've been doing it ever since. Just absolutely fascinated with weather. I thought, for a career, I wanted to do something that I loved. So if you go to work and love your job, then you never spend a day at work at all, really. So I enjoy meteorology, and I've been here in New York 20 years now.
Wow, we're happy you're here.
Yeah, me too.
By far. So let's take a few moments first, and then we'll talk a little something about your book in the middle here somehow. Let's talk about water, okay? So you were, let's go back, you were affected at a young age by a hurricane?
Sure.
And a hurricane is a combination. What is a hurricane?
Well, it's a very large low-pressure storm system. It's warm core in nature. It begins in most of the large ones, like Hurricane Camille, Hurricane Andrew, they begin well out into the Atlantic, around the Caribbean, or they as far away as Africa, the Cape Verde Islands. They're a low-pressure storm system that develop. They get involved in the intertropical convergence zone.
I'm going to stop you just a few times, if you don't mind, just like a teacher.
Okay.
Because I'm not maybe such a great student. So if I ask now, I probably will know later. So low pressure storm, low pressure. What does low pressure mean? Do we? Well, wait. We can even take. You tell me. Is it good to do this? Is this help for the audience? I don't know. I'll put it up here. Low pressure.
Well, that's pretty good illustration.
So you were in Texas? Where
I was in
where'd you grow up?
Mississippi.
Mississippi.
So if you start in Africa, right here, over here, this is where the big hurricanes come from, right there, the Cape Verde Islands.
Cape Verde. We've had the president of Cape Verde on last week.
Well, the intertropical convergence zone is right there, where the winds flow out of the northwest, and eventually they come around as a trade wind from the northeast. Thunderstorms develop here on the African plain around Senegal and Gambia.
Let's see, can we get a shot on that? Okay,
around Senegal and Gambia.
Okay.
Those thunderstorms merge over.
Did you ever work with a Hug a Planet on the air?
This is an all-time first.
All right, Bill. You know,
thought I'd seen it all in 30 years.
We've, we like to be new.
With all the technology we have, why go there when you can have?
Got a Hug a Planet.
When you got a Hug a Planet. Well, and that's where they begin, over the Cape Verde Islands, and then come all the way across.
So why do they begin there?
That's because that's at the intertropical convergence zone, where pools of low pressure in the atmosphere meet the thunderstorms in Africa, right over the water at the Cape Verde Islands. And where those two come together at this time of the year forms the massive hurricanes that develop.
It's not because they're Portuguese?
No, it's mostly because they have anger toward the hugger world, I think.
So literally, when you said thunderstorms, where Africa is here, but thunderstorms off of Africa,
right,
go and come off, and they're going west.
Yeah.
And they hit somehow. They hit.
They meet with an upper level low pressure system, pools of air in the atmosphere, and the two combine, and they make a giant circular low pressure system, which becomes a tropical depression. The tropical depression then grows to become a tropical storm, and all this is determined by wind speed inside the core of the storm. So it goes from a depression, which is 25 to 30 miles per hour, to a tropical storm at 40, 45 miles per hour.
So let me stop it one more second here again, if you don't mind. Wind. Okay, there's elements of our Earth. So there's wind, there's water. So right now, all we're talking about is wind.
Well, you're talking about wind inside the storm system. Of course, it's already creating water. It's creating rain, thunderstorms in this system that is over water. Hurricanes must be born over water. That's the only place that you can find a hurricane developing is going to be over the great oceans. There was one hurricane that developed over the Great Lakes back in the 40s. But what you have is, you got to have the element of warm water, because a hurricane is what's called a latent heat pump. And if it doesn't have the warm ocean water, they won't develop.
Okay. Now, are hurricanes only, what's the difference between a tsunami and a hurricane?
Well, a tsunami, is a geological tectonic plates underneath the ocean that shifts. That creates a wave of water. This is an atmospheric phenomena that creates waves at the surface by forcing energy from the storm from the atmosphere down to the top of the ocean.
One of the most fascinating things is this globe over here. I think that's a tectonic globe that shows underneath the water. I don't know. I needed this globe for somebody to make me realize that there's actually land underneath the water, right?
Absolutely, and the rock that is where our subway system is so successful, and when you travel 3-4 million people daily in New York City, is the bedrock that slopes up to New York City. So when hurricanes come toward New York City, the rock bottom ocean actually causes the waves to be bigger. Larger waves of water come into New York City as a result of that.
Now, hurricane, we'll go back to hurricanes for a second here, because so we were talking about hurricanes coming off of Africa, hitting low pressure, the word depression, a lot of these not happy words.
It's a very complex storm.
And then coming our way towards America. Are hurricanes in other parts of the Hugga planet?
There are other hurricanes around. The hurricanes also in the Far East. They call them typhoons. That would be in the Pacific. They're hurricanes. They go over to the Far East.
So the word typhoon and the word hurricane equal each other?
Equal each other.
Thanks. That's a Jeopardy question?
There you go. Well, in the States, in the Caribbean, really, the word hurricane, the god of sea storms, is where that word came from. So the great sea captains and the pirates all called them hurricanes because after the god of storms of the sea, hurricane. really it's a typhoon, basically, is what the storm system is. But all the sea captains use hurricane, the great god of the storms, is to name those systems.
Okay, how about some other? Now I'm over the Pacific. I got the Pacific.
The Pacific Ocean, all the way across to the far east.
Pacific. So we have typhoons that hit over there.
All the way across to Japan.
All the way over to Japan.
To Micronesia.
Okay.
And all the way down to Australia.
Australia, they get hit with a typhoon now and then.
They get hit with giant low pressure storm systems that are basically the same thing as a typhoon.
Now a hurricane, it's a watery, it's boiling up of the water, right? In essence.
Well, it's a giant low pressure system in the atmosphere, and it does create large waves. It creates a storm surge as it comes onto land.
It's different than a tornado.
Very much. There will be hundreds of tornadoes inside a hurricane.
Oh.
Yes.
And like when a tornado comes out of a hurricane, that makes a tornado like in, say, the Midwest.
Yeah. Well, no, the hurricanes are not in the Midwest. They're only over water, and then they make landfall, and then become a low-pressure system on land. Tornadoes are born out of thunderstorms. So if you have a cold front or you have thunderstorm complexes that build up, the thunderstorm can make tornadoes.
Okay. All right.
It's like, you look at it like this. A hurricane is like a giant elementary school. Inside the elementary school are the pupils. Those are the tornadoes. That's how you have to look at it. A giant hurricane storm system is a very complex system of thunderstorms that each contain hundreds of tornadoes inside them. That's why they're so devastating when they come onto land.
Now, I mean, they're not a good news item.
No.
They're
well,
problematic.
they are in a way.
Okay.
Once they come inland in the southern United States, they actually are really our only source of rainfall as we get into the most driest months of our year, which are August, September, and October. So as the storm comes inland from the Gulf of Mexico or off the southeast coast of the Atlantic, it lessens its strength, which is good, and becomes a tropical depression. That low-pressure depression comes into the northeast. It gives us much-needed rainfall at a time we don't normally get a lot of rainfall.
Okay, so that's here. There's typhoons. Do they do the same here?
Yes.
They give water to Hawaii?
Yes. Well, absolutely.
So
there's a lot of Hawaii has pretty much a rainy climate with milky showers off and on. So they're not necessarily aided by the fact that there would be a hurricane go by there. But there are parts of our country like South Texas, the Louisiana Gulf Coast that gets parched, hot and dry in the summertime that otherwise doesn't get rain, and storms coming in there provide some much needed rainfall.
As I mentioned, we're going to put on after you a piece on Africa. And we started here our conversation that it was Africa and Cape Verde, but there's parts of Africa, which is one of our biggest concerns here on the Water Hour, where there is no water. So that means there's no hurricanes brewing in that area?
No.
Is that
desert?
Yeah,
it's just desert, and it's a very dry climate. It would be hard to even create rain there because the atmosphere is just so dry.
Okay. All right. Very good. So now let's talk about water. So you're saying that all of this, though, it's a collaborative. Now, so in our schoolhouse, where's water fit in?
In our school, where does the water part come?
Yeah.
Would be from the many complex thunderstorms that are inside of the schoolhouse. That would be where all the rainfall comes from. That's much needed rain from the atmosphere. That's very good for the soil, replenishes lakes and streams and rivers.
Okay. All right. I'm going to ask on a couple more questions. But, no, I'm going to go to your book for a second, too, because we're talking a lot about hurricanes. And so you've written now a book on top of the Hugger Planet called Category 7. So what does that mean? They categorize them as in their intensity?
Well, hurricanes have been started to be categorized since the 70s. And there's a category scale of 1 through 5. 1 being a hurricane of 74 mile per hour winds, the least amount of winds in a hurricane, up to a Category 5 hurricanes, 155 miles per hour. And so a Category 7, my book is about weather manipulation and a hurricane hitting New York City. There actually was a Category 7 hurricane in 1969 before there was the Saffir-Simpson scale, which is called. Two great meteorologists invented this scale of 1 to 5. Hurricane Camille was at 189 miles per hour. So if you extend the Category 1 through 5 scale that was invented by Saffir and Simpson, you would have up to a Category 7 storm. So that's basically what my book is about. It's about a guy who is able to invent, manipulate weather. He creates a hurricane, he points it toward New York City.
Creates a hurricane and points it towards New York City.
That's right.
He creates one.
Yes.
Now, is this, let's hope this is impossible to do?
Well, there's a lot of weather manipulation going on around the world right now.
I was reading about it. So you have a whole page on weather manipulation.
Yeah.
That's
well, I think the biggest focal point right now, as far as weather manipulation goes, is with the Chinese government. They spend $40 million a year on weather manipulation. There was an article out last week that hit the headlines of Newsweek and Time about the fact that the Chinese in Beijing say they can manipulate weather anytime they would like to either make rain or not make rain in time for the Olympics in Beijing. They do a lot of cloud seeding there to make rain. They also do a lot of cloud seeding to keep hail from forming for destroying crops. China, as you know, has an immense population, and so they have to feed a lot of people. So they do a lot of rain making and they do a lot of hail dispersal there. There's 10 states in the United States that do weather manipulation. The most prominent is Vail, Colorado. They've advertised, actually, that they have more snow than any other resort in Colorado because they seed the clouds in wintertime and create snow.
How do you seed a cloud?
You take an aircraft and you use silver iodide. You place that in flares underneath the wings. You fly the airplane into the top of cloud formations that are favorable for rain making. You have to watch and look at clouds, look at formations of air masses, and know when to fly planes over this sort of thing. Silver iodide helps create an ice crystal inside the cloud. Ice crystals form rain. The more ice crystals, the more chances you have to form rain in the clouds.
So could we, or is that impossible, could we seed a cloud in the desert?
Cannot. The reason being, cloud seeding works only in certain climates. It works very well in moist to tropical climates. So it works well on the leeward mountainsides of Colorado because enough lifting of moisture comes into where they're seeding the clouds. China has a very moist climate. They also claim that they cannot make it rain, which I'm trying to research on how they do that. But they also send planes and fire rockets into thunderstorms to keep ice crystals from forming in cloud formations.
Is this one of your first books?
This is my first book.
And what inspired it?
You know, I moved to New York 20 years ago, and having lived through a hurricane, I went into the newsroom at Channel 7 where I work, and I really wanted to learn New York quickly, all the geography and the city and the town. So the first thing they told me to do is take the Staten Island ferry and go over from Manhattan to Staten Island. So I did, and as I'm looking up from the back of the Staten Island ferry and you see the Colgate Clock in Jersey, the Hudson River, Manhattan, the East River, Brooklyn, Queens, and on out, Long Island to the Atlantic, I just morbidly thought, having lived through a hurricane, and many of them in the South, what a place for a hurricane to hit. Because everything that we need in life, infrastructure, sits right on the water here. Wastewater treatment plants, your drinking water facilities, power plants, both coal burning, garbage burning incinerator power plants, even a nuclear plant sits on water here. Your basic infrastructure needs, subways, roadways, airports, all sit on water. A hurricane that hits New York City has to pass over 5 highly developed, densely populated coastlines. So that struck me at odds with how much development was on the New York coastline. So I got to researching hurricanes, and I thought, wow, if it's such a morbid place for a hurricane to hit, I wonder if hurricanes have hit here before. So I started researching that fact, and I went back to the year 1400 and looked forward from there. And you find that many hurricanes have hit New York City from 1400s up until the present. They're just spaced out over a long period of time. If you take the top 20 hurricanes from 1400, from the great sea captains who kept logs all the way up to our current technological record keeping, of the top 20 hurricanes, 1/3 of them has hit the Northeast. The last big hurricane to hit here was 1938. They didn't name hurricanes then. Now they name hurricanes, but back then they just called it the Long Island Express. It killed 700 people on Long Island and in New England, back at a time when only 200,000 people lived on Long Island. Today there's 3 million people on Long Island, and if you add in the tourist season at this time of the year through September, it's 4 million people. So there's been a lot built since 1938 here. There was no JFK airport, there was no LaGuardia airport, there was no nuclear power plant. All these things have sprung up at the coastline. Many more millions of people live here now than ever did back in 1938. We have 13 million people that live in New York City.
That's the concerning news.
Yes.
If it could happen, would happen. So do you, and I, having mentioned earlier to you before we taped, I've out there in Montauk a lot, I believe they moved the town of Montauk from one side of the town, the bay side, which supposedly I think was hit by the hurricane, to another part of the town, to actually the ocean side.
That's right. They've had many hurricanes. Yeah, that was because of the hurricane. And the cut there at Montauk was caused by Hurricane Gloria. Hurricanes have shaped our coastline for hundreds of years. If you go back to 1893, there was a storm that hit New York City in the middle of the night. It wiped out an island south of New York City called Hog Island. If you find a Hug-A-World from 1893 and you look at New York City, Hog Island sat south of New York City. It had casinos and bathhouses. And in the middle of the night, this storm washed that entire island into Roosevelt, what is now Roosevelt Beach and Brooklyn, Queens. It has made the cut at Fire Island, where now all the ships come out of the marinas. So hurricanes have formed our coastland for many years, but they happen every 70 years. So you have a certain amount of apathy by the populace. You know, you can have a whole generation go by and never see a hurricane hit here. So if you have something like that, then people are apathetic. Well, they never hit here, and then when they hit here, they're not very strong. True, we get the Glorias and the Davids and the Darlas that are Category 1s or the Floyds, which are tropical depression. But every 70 years, a Category 3 or greater storm hits here, and weather repeats itself. So as we're sitting here talking about this, you and I in our lifetimes, we will see a Category 3 storm or greater hit here in the New York City area, purely because the planet, the whole hug of planet, is a fluid dynamic. The weather happens all over the world. You talk to some people and they just talk about the weather in their neighborhood or where they live. That's not how weather works. Weather and climatology repeat themselves over and over and over. For instance, look at Hurricane Katrina in the Mississippi Gulf Coast. 1969, Hurricane Camille hit the Mississippi Gulf Coast and New Orleans. Here we are 2 years ago, another hurricane, same spot, New Orleans and the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Weather repeats itself over and over and over.
Okay.
But we can't do anything about hurricanes. I mean, absolutely can't do a thing about hurricanes. So as we're talking about this, hurricanes are going to hit. Hurricanes hit other parts of the world. It's our response that's the most important thing. We need to make a plan. Everybody needs to make a plan and be prepared. And then when the hurricane's coming, you open up your plan. Here's my plan. I'm ready to go.
Okay, so that's a good news. That's
the good news, yeah.
And you're supposed to be responsible, first responders, all these kinds of
Right.
organizations that are slowly getting their act together in what is actually, as you say, to a certain degree, possibly inevitable.
Yeah.
Climatically.
The Office of Emergency Management here has a great plan, but the city of New York has never been evacuated. The city is going to have to evacuate 3 million people. And unfortunately, with a hurricane approaching, that's 3 million panicked people. So when a hurricane starts coming toward New York City, it races northward at 45 miles per hour. So waiting to make a plan while a hurricane coming is going to be too late. You need to have your plan and go on the OEM website or get in touch with the Office of Emergency Management, find out where you live, how flood prone you are. A Category 3 hurricane will put 22 to 30 feet of water in Manhattan. That covers the terminals at JFK. That covers what the Wall Street area, goes up 3 stories on places like the Custom House. That puts water at the feet of the Statue of Liberty above the pedestal. It has happened before, and climatology says that these things will happen again.
Okay, does your boy who makes this hurricane cause this kind of damage?
The hurricane.
You don't have to tell. This is.
I don't want to give too much away because the hurricane has
a
a nice twist at the end. The book has a nice twist at the end involving the hurricane, but the hurricane is approaching New York City, and you learn all about, as the hurricane is approaching New York City, what would happen to the city in the event of a hurricane. What winds would be like, what the canyoning of winds would be like in Manhattan. Not only in Manhattan and the 5 boroughs do you have winds that push in with pressure and destroy windows or destroy buildings, but they also, because of the canyoning effect of the buildings in Manhattan, suck out, pull away. So you could literally be sucked out of the window of your apartment building in certain spots in Manhattan.
Let me ask you one other question. Actually, I would love to have you come back because I'm probably very far from a lot of things I'd like to ask you climatically.
I'd be glad to come back.
I would really love to do that, Bill. But let me just give it a little start in the sense of this global warming, higher water tide, breaking of glaciers, and do we all need to learn how to swim? Forget the hurricane. Just in general, do we need to learn how to swim?
It's never too late to learn how to swim. I just learned how to swim just a few years ago, as a matter of fact. I got myself,
Actually, I'm a good swimmer.
I got waterproofed on the Upper East Side at Asphalt Green.
Really?
Yes, I didn't know how to swim.
Okay.
So I went and took lessons and learned how to swim. But it's never too late to learn how to swim and save yourself. But the climate is changing. I mean, there's no question about that. And we do see some increase, in the levels of the oceans. Well, if you're having a hurricane come and the level of the ocean is increasing, then your problems multiply.
Okay, so that's the combo. But as is now, well, next time I'm going to make it a cliffhanger.
Very
like
good.
Your book is a cliffhanger, and because I really, I just got this late last night, and I didn't have a chance to read it.
You didn't finish reading it yet?
I didn't. I'll be honest with you, I went slow read. Even I took Evelyn Wood, but my finger gets drowsy. So I start watching my finger.
I can understand that.
So this is really good. So, you have, let's go to one piece of your video to end this up with.
Okay.
And we're going to have you back.
Thanks for having me.
I really want you
It was a pleasure.
back.
Thank you so much.
You're such a good guy. You're
Thank
a
you
good
very
guy.
much.
All right, let's go to that piece of video.
3, 2.
We are mere moments away from learning more about evacuations possibly in New York City from Hurricane Simone that is working its way toward the North Carolina coast, headed toward New York City. As you can see on these satellite pictures, Hurricane Simone has developed very quickly. Its winds now are at a very high 150 to 155 miles per hour. It's going to continue moving toward the southeast Atlantic coast at about 14, 15 miles per hour. It is possibly a storm that could go above Category 5 as we're seeing some immense intensification inside the system itself in and around the eye wall, which is about 30 to 40 miles in diameter. New York City has the most developed and populated hurricane-prone area in the United States. There are 13 million people in the ADI and many living in coastal areas. Every 70 years, a major hurricane has hit the New York City area. The last was in 1938, called the Long Island Express. Destruction is going to be widespread all across the area because northern hurricanes damage a significantly larger area because coastlines are more populated and there's more structures and more facilities built at coastlines. Northern hurricanes move faster. This hurricane is going to be moving at 45 miles per hour toward New York City with most of the effective winds in the northeast quadrant on the right side. Longer recurrence of hurricanes creates a lower perception of danger among residents. Residents feel they don't see hurricanes very often in New York, likely that they will not evacuate. You must evacuate and get to a place of safety. Past effects of landfalls have been forgotten. This hurricane will produce a wall of water 22 to 27 feet high. That puts water all the way past Canal Street, past City Hall. That would be 3 stories up on what would be the old structure of the World Trade Center. New York City has a unique oceanographic landmass in that we have a right angle called Long Island. The water piles into that right angle, into the Jersey Shore and into Manhattan. Power and communications, transport systems, all are going to be debilitated by salt water. I'm hearing that there's about to be an announcement about evacuations are...
Good piece, Phil. All right, Phil. Thank
Drama.
you.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. And let's figure maybe there's some ways we can, at least here in our own community, as every community should be dealing with concerns overall in general from disastrous situations. Let's in this city try to figure out a way to get the word out a little bit more, find out the people that are involved with
Absolutely.
it. A lot of times we find out that there's thousands of people already involved, and I'm sure there are.
There are. The Red Cross is involved, the Office of Emergency Management.
Yeah.
We all got to help one another. And there are a lot of people who are shut in, the infirmed, those who are disabled, that are going to have to be evacuated as well.
Right.
So we all got to get through it, just like we did 9/11, except this time this is going to affect many more people on a much broader scale.
We need to organize. Okay.
Thank you very much,
Bill,
Paul.
thank you.
Pleasure.
Okay. All right. Now we're going to put a piece of the Campus 07 on Good News. That is going to be Carlos Cebria, President Atlantis Group, and Karen Blanchard from Tenerife, which is another island on the over at the Gran Canary Islands. And so we're going to go to that piece of video right now, and you're going to get the basics of what the whole conference was all about. Thank you. Hi, this is Paul Slakis, Good News Broadcast. I'm here at Fuerteventura. Fuerteventura is in the Canary Islands. It's part of the Spanish community, and it's off of Africa. And we're here to attend the Campus 07. This is our first interview, our first opening and welcoming of our audience to this wonderful event that we're going to be at all week, and we're going to broadcast this as a special event on Good News Broadcast, the Water Hour. So with me is Carlos Gabriela. Hi. Buenos dias.
Buenos dias.
and Karen Blanchard.
Hello, good morning.
Okay, Karen. So actually, Carlos owns this home, the home that we are all staying at, which is a 5-star or 100-star, I think, hotel here on the Fuerteventura. We're all staying here, people from all around the world, going to be talking about excellence in the sense of helping the world move itself forwards in a nice way in many different subjects. It's broken down, and we'll get into that. So what we plan to do here is to interview everybody, if we can, or whoever would like to be interviewed for our show. And we're going to start with Carlos welcoming everybody here. So, Karen, if you could start us with some translation into Spanish.
Carlos, él quiere que expliques un poquito en qué consiste el campus y darles la bienvenida.
Bien. Bienvenidos a Fuerteventura.
Gracias, señor.
El Campus de Excelencia es un evento internacional que se creó hace 3 años. El primer año se celebró en las 4 Islas Canarias, un día en cada isla, y a partir del año pasado ya consideramos que era importante aglutinar en un solo espacio, en un solo sitio, el celebrar un evento de este nivel.
The Campus of Excellence was launched 3 years ago. The first editions took place on 4 of the Canary Islands here in Spain, and then the decision was taken to centralize it on Fuerteventura, and the permanent home of the Campus de Excelencia will be Fuerteventura for the next 10 years.
Campus es una idea original, una idea diferente y de alguna manera pretende juntar durante una semana a 100 estudiantes de posgrado de las mejores universidades del mundo que presentan sus candidaturas, seleccionados por la Agencia Española de Evaluación Universitaria, junto con 100 personalidades relevantes de todo el mundo, entre los cuales figuran premios Nobel, presidente de gobierno, ministros, empresarios, gente de todo nivel. En este año concretamente pues hay 14 premios Nobel, tenemos 2 presidentes de gobierno, varios expresidentes, ministros y diferentes personalidades.
This year, the Campus of Excellence has 14 Nobel laureates, several heads of state, several former heads of state, a number of high-ranking personalities in the different fields that the campus is looking at. The campus brings together 100 postgraduate students from around the world who've been selected, who've been processed by the Spanish selection agency. They've been through a strict selection procedure. And also 100 of these well-known personalities and experts in their field.
Esta idea que pretende quedarse permanentemente en Fuerteventura para crear en Fuerteventura un foco mundial del conocimiento en referencia a áreas básicas como son la salud y el bienestar del ser humano, como son el desarrollo y la sostenibilidad, el medio ambiente y la educación. Básicamente cada año vamos a trabajar con un área temática concreta. En este año trabajamos sobre África. África es un continente vecino nuestro, es un continente desde el cual estamos físicamente y estamos en Europa pero estamos a la vez en África. Canarias es África y por eso pretendemos hablar de África desde África.
The Campus of Excellence is divided into 4 key areas: sustainability and development, health, education. There's also renewable energy. And the idea is that the focus of the campus this year is Africa. Each year there's a different theme. The Canary Islands lie just 60 miles off the African coast. This is the closest island to Africa. And the idea is that geographically we lie as if we were Africa, and the campus will be focusing very closely on looking for solutions to the problems in Africa.
Tendremos el privilegio de poder compartir y debatir durante estos 5 días pues, con los 100 proyectos presentados, de los proyectos que no son teóricos, son prácticos, son proyectos que tienen que tener un estudio financiero de poder ser aplicados en esas áreas que hemos hablado antes y poder ser susceptibles de valoración y ver cómo esos proyectos se presentan a todas estas personalidades del mundo para debatirlos, para complementarlos y para sacar ideas que entendemos tienen que ser muy positivas para el desarrollo futuro.
The key idea is that the students have presented projects. The projects were very strictly processed. They had to be financed, and the projects have to be of practical application. This week, the 100 invited guests, among them the Nobel Prize winners and world leaders, will be studying closely all these projects. They will be discussing them with the students, and the winning project will actually be implemented in Africa.
Normalmente un evento de esas características pues parece a un congreso, pero en este caso no es un congreso, es una reunión del saber, una reunión de los mejores hombres pensantes de la ciencia y de la tecnología con la gente joven que más está interesada en desarrollar esos temas. Esto es lo que nos hace ser diferentes. El campus es un evento diferente y así queremos seguir siendo, diferentes y originales. Desde el punto de vista de donde lo hacemos, también lo hacemos en Fuerteventura porque Fuerteventura es diferente. Fuerteventura es original, Fuerteventura es un entorno excepcional que significa muchísimas cosas, entre ellas la naturaleza, entre ellas una plataforma entre 3 continentes, América, Europa y África, y hemos de usar esta situación geográfica para proyectarnos hacia ellos.
The idea of the campus is that it's not a conference. It's actually something very, very different, and it takes place here in Fuerteventura, which is also an island that's very different. It's a tri-continental platform between Africa, Europe, and the Americas. And what we want to stress here is that Fuerteventura is beautiful, it has wild and free nature, but at the same time we can do something very useful here at this very, very unique event.
Bien, con esto creo que queda explicado el campus. Muchísimas gracias por la oportunidad de poder dar esa explicación.
Muchas gracias. Let me ask one question, okay? Because you make my job very easy. Because you gave the entire introduction for the event, okay? And you know it better than I know it. Because you are extremely involved, which I find is very interesting. Because you own the hotels in this area, your resorts, you bring beautiful people here. This is a very serious subject. It's not a hotel subject. Hotel is the party. It's to have fun. Why did you get involved with this project?
Que dice que es un proyecto muy serio y usted como presidente del Grupo Atlantis, propietario de estas instalaciones, de los hoteles, usted suele traer aquí a personas que quieren pasar sus vacaciones, pero sin embargo esto es un tema muy serio. ¿Por qué se involucró con este proyecto?
Vamos a ver, yo llevo 28 años en Fuerteventura. Fuerteventura es mi segunda patria y creo que Fuerteventura necesita proyección internacional. Fuerteventura vive de turismo y el turismo lamentablemente no debería ser la única fuente de ingresos y sobre todo no debería ser el turismo de sol y playa que existe. Fuerteventura tiene capacidad de poder ofrecer mucho más y en este proyecto de intentar cambiar el modelo, de intentar proyectar Fuerteventura al mundo con otra forma que no sea sus playas, que son estupendas, y su sol o su clima, pues estábamos trabajando en crear diversas actividades diferentes. Una de ellas fue el campus. El campus, evidentemente, es un tema muy serio, pero también, evidentemente, es muy apropiado, ¿no? Entendemos que por su geografía, por su situación, por cómo es la isla, por la luz que tiene, por muchas cosas, la Fuerteventura reúne condiciones para hacer algo diferente y el campus es algo diferente. Es algo muy relacionado con la isla, entendemos, por lo que se desprende de la misma, ¿no?
Carlos dice que como Fuerteventura es un lugar muy Sorry. Carlos says that as Fuerteventura is an island that's very, very different, he thinks that the campus fits in very well with the image that Fuerteventura wants to project to the world. One of the key issues here is the fact that he believes that Fuerteventura has a great, great potential. He's been here for 28 years. It's his second home. He's actually from Barcelona, but he considers the island his second home, and he loves it dearly. So what he's saying here is that Fuerteventura has a capacity and has a potential for so many different things. For example, he says the island has the most beautiful beaches and a wonderful climate, but at the same time, it's not just a holiday island. The island can and will and wants to strive towards being a place that's known for other things, as well as being a fabulous holiday and windsurfing destination.
Okay, gracias. Thank you very much. You did wonderful, fantastic. So we're going to now interview some more people, and you've started us off in a beautiful way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gracias, senor.
Gracias.
Thank you. Oh. Uh-oh. This might be Reid. Hello, guys. Are you ready to record this? It is Reid. Okay. Hello, Reid?
Yes, hello, Paul. It's Reid and Sonia.
Good. Very good. All right. Hopefully we're recording inside there. John, all set? Beautiful. So how you doing today?
We're doing really fine. We're sailing along. It's nice, sunny weather, but we're way down in the South Atlantic now, and we're getting winds from the south, and it's a little cold because it's winter down here. But otherwise, it's a beautiful day.
All right, good. Well, I was reading your log, and let me recommend to everybody once again, 1000days.net. Reid is you're copious in your notes.
Well, I figure once a day something good happens, so there's always something to write about.
Well, it's very important. We just had on the show Bill Evans, the meteorologist on WABC TV.
Right.
And he talked about the weather conditions, talked about Africa, talked about hurricanes, talked about all kinds of issues about water and the weather. But you're south right now. How far are you from Africa? Thousands, right?
Oh yeah, we're a couple thousand miles from Africa and 1,000 miles from South America.
Okay, and from Cape Verde area?
Oh no, we're a couple thousand miles south of there now.
That's good.
We're more even with South Africa.
All right, good. And you stay south, and you're gonna. So which way you're gonna be traveling now?
We're gonna wait until winter's over here in the Southern Ocean. So now we're getting ready to head back up north again a bit, and then when
The big
it's spring down here, that'll be in the beginning of November. Then we'll be back down here again to sail into the Indian Ocean.
Okay, so South Atlantic, Indian Ocean. All right, Reid. How's Sonia?
Sonya's doing just fine. She's sitting right next to me. I'll let her say hi.
All right, good. Thanks, Reid.
Hello, Paul.
Hi, Sonia. How are you?
Great.
You guys are doing good. I like what you're writing. It's a little chillier there now, right?
Yeah, it is. It's kind of a drastic change from 80 degrees to 60 degrees, and a little bit not like with the fall in between the way we usually have it in New York. It's kind of like this week it's the tropics and next week it's fall. Kind of weird.
Are you taking vitamin C?
No, we get plenty of vitamins from our sprouts and the various fruits that we eat, so I don't think that we have a problem with vitamin C.
Okay, that's good. And how are you feeling overall?
Good.
All right.
I'm feeling pretty great.
We're looking at a picture of, I think you two are opening a box. I don't know whether that's food there or what. So what are you going to do today?
What are we doing today? Well, Reid is fixing a battery box down in the engine room. I don't know what the problem is, but he's been sawing away all day and fixing that. And I've been kind of just hanging out, listening to some music, playing DJ for Reid.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay, super. All right, so it sounds great. Well, it sounds like you both are doing really super things. And if you could, put Reid back on. That would be good.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks, Sonia.
Okay, Paul.
All right, Reid. So a lot of good. What are you sawing down there?
Down in the motor room, one of the battery boxes needed to be straightened up because it was tossing around all that heavy weight all the time. So I got down there with wood and the drill and bolts and sort of like rebuilt one of the battery boxes down next to the motor room. That's not so bad. That box is like 30 years old. So there is things like that I'm having to do to the boat because we're always sailing. Right now there's pretty big waves and we're bouncing up and down in the waves. So there's always little things like that. The other day it was part of the steering system. I had to dismantle carpentry work in the kitchen and crawl under the galley sink and work on some pulleys for the steering system. And then I got them all secured good and the squeaks went away and everything's nice and solid. So it's actually a lot of work sailing a big old scooter like this constantly across the ocean. But I like doing this kind of work, and I figure the better off that I make things, the better off we'll be when the weather gets a little rougher. And I imagine I'm going to have to be fixing things a lot throughout the voyage. That's sort of how it goes to be a sailor.
You're my hero, though. I'll tell you that right now, Reid. If anybody can do this 1,000 days, anybody can stay on that boat and make it all happen, it's you. And I've really gained a tremendous respect for Sonia. She really sounds strong as a person and confident in herself and in the voyage and so on, and the two of you. So just keep it up, and we love talking to you each week. So thanks, Reid.
Okay, thank you.
You take care.
Thanks. We'll be in close touch. We'll call you next week. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, well, that was Reid and Sonia sharing some of their good news with us. Okay, now on the show, we have Mihaela and Gabriela and Modorcea.
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 Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody from Romania, right? Originally?
Yes. And from worldwide, I think.
And
from the ocean.
The big ocean.
Yes.
Ocean water.
The ocean get us here.
Let me see if we're going to go here, and we're going to find Romania here. It's in Europe, and it's over here. Here's Romania.
Romania, so
Romania.
it's Indigo Romania. They're like our
Indigo
name group.
Romania.
Yeah.
So the name of your group is Indigo.
Yeah. The main river in Romania is Indigo.
Oh, the name of the river in India is Indigo.
Indigo.
And didn't you say indigo also has something to do with the light
The
rays?
seventh element of the rainbow, the seventh color. So it's a lucky and very mysterious number. You know, it's our lucky number. We have been born on 7th of June, so it brings us luck, and it will bring to you too for your show.
All right, good.
Yeah.
Well,
we put this name like Indigo because there is like a carbon copy, you know. So this is why we chose this name, you know, because we are like an inverted mirror, as you can see.
So if you have any comments about us, you can check on our MySpace, www.myspace.com/twinsindigo with double G, and you can tell us there the weather of our music. If our music inspires you, any hurricane, thunder, or raindrops keep falling on my, you know.
head. I asked you about when we had met before the show. I asked you about water in Romania, in the country of Romania. You said you have a lot of water there.
We have the Danube, the Black Sea. There are tons of resorts like with healing waters and like with thermal springs.
Mineral waters. There's so many monasteries and churches with springs which perform miracles, you know, and you just splash yourself on your face, on your heart, and you become a better person.
Really?
Yes.
Book those air flights. Let's go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's good to know. Now I know where to go to have.
In
Romania.
That's how we took like our gift from God, you know, from the spring, from a thermal spring.
And also, if I wouldn't have the water, we will burn, you know. I need water so I won't burn. And we need water so we don't live in the desert.
By far. Yeah. That's why water is so important.
Yes.
That's why we're doing this show. This show is
otherwise everything will burn, you know, if we don't have the water inside of ourselves, you know.
Yeah, and we sometimes we prefer like our favorite liquid is like blood, but I mean they are the fundamental element in blood is water as well. So exactly, she's right.
This is like a scientific lesson from these entertainers. Okay, you know what? I'd like to go to a piece of video of yours
Yes.
to see, let our audience get some sense of who you
Yeah.
are. Because you're going to do something live also
So
for us,
like
right?
everybody has to know that we are both singers, professional actresses. Like last year, we graduated from the National University of Theatrical Arts and Cinematography in Bucharest, and also attended acting courses in Cologne, in Germany. And we played in 3 musicals. Last year, we played the leading parts, and it was awarded the best play 2006. We played also in 2 movies. We are songwriters, and like we are very we are famous Europe-wide, and like we top the European charts and work with the most successful European music producers. And now we came here to conquer America and to bring our good luck here and our 7th element and our water here. And also afterwards, after you see our video, you know, I will read you from my poetry book, because I just released a poetry book. It contains like 70 poems, and I'm writing since ever I was a little girl, and I'm putting all my miracles here, my love, my hate, and my water, you know, spirit.
All right, beautiful. Okay, let's go to see some musical performance.
Deserted song. I cannot find my nest at dawn. I'm living like a blade of grass, and you are the wind that blows me fast. But even if you harm me so, my soul is crying after you. I must say goodbye to my feelings now, and trust the reason.
So excited here. That was beautiful. Great.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
There you go. Now people can see that you're for real.
And that we are Geminis, you know.
And we're Geminis. And so you wanted to read, Mihaela, you wanted to read a segment from your book?
Yeah, my book is called Rage and Love. And I will read you one of my poems translated by my sister Gabriela. Its name is Our Music, because it's related, you know, it's the blend between music and nature, you know, which keeps our balance, you know, in music and in life. So our music, the whirl of the ocean, the rustling of the forest are our bridal sound. The arch between the mountain and the sea gathers in a holy ring. The waiting of the cold rain by the grasping flames of cymbal is our kiss. The somber music of the clouds, the deafening waterfall of the evil break the rainbow down. But you and me hold the globe so tight that it won't crash in the great vaults. You at one door and me at the other door. We together tune the world's stuff that would never sound so false.
Wow. Now you see not only are they entertainers, they're, on your MySpace, I see you do have a show on there. I see you have some kind of
we have a video.
Country,
Yeah.
country
We have
outfit.
new great photos,
It's a beautiful thing, and talking about photos, you have some
yeah, we
beautiful
just
ones here.
made a really amazing
are
photo
your
shooting.
photo
Everything
shoots,
is
your
styled.
models,
Everything is styled by us.
Your
I can
models
say.
as well?
Even these dresses are styled by, designed by us, designed by her.
Okay.
Everything is designed
Beautiful.
by us.
Okay, so
Yes.
Wow,
So you have
you're
this
very
on our
young.
MySpace. Lots of surprises and sparkling, things.
great. Well, congratulations.
FHM there,
You both
like-
have a lot of wealth and talent, and a wealth
Thank you.
in sincerity and in your characters, and so you have
Yeah.
a good package together.
We are like a
So-
firework
So
that
let
never
me-
extinguishes in
and
water.
sisters and loving sisters. You're so tight as sisters. You
Yeah.
have CDs. So why don't you sing now a song? This is going to be our closing for the show, and I think the song is called Sisters.
Sister, and it's inspired by one of my poems, which is called She. So,
So it's
Sister-
music and lyrics belong to us, and we're going to perform it like a cappella.
Like Bella,
Okay.
the
Well,
dog-
wait with the mics. Let's see.
Oh,
I
the
think
mics.
is this possible to do this sitting? I don't know if
Okay.
you could, just because we didn't plan with the mics.
I-
Stand up.
Maybe I can, I mean,
You wanna
my-
pull that up a
it's
little?
so nice, and I love to hold it
Okay.
like
Well, we
that.
have to now get the cameras.
You know why I want to stand up, because everybody should see my
Standing up is-
dress. I just made it
You made your
especially for the
dress.
show, especially
That's
for you.
fine.
And I put some water, I put the
Okay.
forest, I
All
put
right,
here,
we're going to try to tilt up a little bit here. This is like live television, and I thought you were going to do it sitting, but you care to do it standing.
You know, the Geminis are always surprising, so.
And
Yeah,
always standing up,
We have
not
to.
down.
We have to move with the groove, and so that's what we're going to do. Let's see if we can tilt that up and just hold that up. Yeah, well, just hold that camera up, I guess, like that. Just make sure you have both of them. Yeah, hold that there. That's good. You have them here. Boston
You are
has them
there prepared, you are there
ready to go?
prepared. Let's rock it, sister.
Okay, hit it. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I do.
Love you so, but can't love you no more. When I see you looking at you like I do. Love your eyes, they inspire my passion. Looking at them, I see a reflection. I do. Love your smile, but can't smile anymore. When I see you doing just as I do. Live for you, but can't live anymore. She's playing my role. No. I can't breathe anymore. In my air is her. I can live as a shadow. No, sister, my sister, but he's my boyfriend. No, my love is not for rent. Sister, my sister, we share every cent. But no, my love is not for land. Sister, my sister, but he's my boyfriend. No, my love is not for rent. Sister, my sister, we share every cent. But no, this time I'll show my hand. Yeah. Sister, my sister, I do love you so, can't love you no more. When I see you looking at you like I do love your eyes, they inspire my passion. But looking at them, I see a reflection. I do live for you, but crave for you no more. When I see you laughing just as I do have this obsession, my everlasting double. I want to break free, escape from this trouble. No, I can breathe anymore. In my air is her. I can live as a shadow. No, sister, my sister, but he's my boyfriend. No, my love is not for rent. Sister, my sister, we share every cent. But no, my love is not for rent. Sister, my sister, we share every friend. No, my love is not for rent. Sister, my sister, we share every cent. But no, this time I'll show my hand. Sister, my sister. Yes.
Yeah, okay, great.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank
And,
you.
I heard you sing it before, so I know how hot you two are because I played the piano behind you. And you guys are hot. So thank you very much.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
everybody. Reduce, reuse, recycle. I should reduce, reuse, recycle. And be nice to somebody this week. And thanks for tuning in. And keep sending us your information about good news happening everywhere and anywhere. What we are is what we are for each other. So thank you for being part of the Water Hour. See ya. Thanks.